Audition music measures 13 and 14. Alright guys, this fourth line is the trickiest of them all, okay? But I've got some help for you with my breakdown here, okay? So, we're talking about 13 and 14 again, alright? And here we're putting together some of the 16th note patterns that we looked at like in the third line. Together with a new rhythm, even though hopefully it's not totally brand new, since we have talked about these with our pulsing, like when we do long tones, and those are those 6 little triplet notes that you see at the second half of measure 13. They look like eighth notes, but there are only 3 of them grouped together for beat 3 and 4, and you also see that little number 3 at the bottom. That signifies that these are not just eighth notes, but they are eighth note triplets. So 3 of them inside of the beat. So remember when we do pulsing, 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly. Okay, that's those triplets that we have going on in measure 13. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Alright, so let's look at the rhythm only then line of my breakdown. Okay, and I've written out the rhythm for you. So this one is going to go 1, take ta 2, to 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1 take, 2 t take ta 3. Now that's the official counting version. Under that, you kind of have a little phrase that I thought of the first time I taught this at Murphy. And you see it needs to be edited now because it still says Miss Chapel, but the syllables work out if you say it rhythmically. Miss Chapel drinks a strawberry blueberry smoothie every single day. Okay, so there's just kind of a fun, maybe little phrase to help you kind of remember how that rhythm goes. Okay, so again, we're going to say the official version. 1, take ta 2, ta 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1 take, 2 t take ta 3. Okay, and you do have to kind of think about spacing out those triplets. Now another thing that I actually think is pretty tricky here, measure 13, why those triplets kind of feel weird, is that with the 8th notes and 16th notes we have that very steady down, up, down, up, down, up feeling going on. The triplets feel different. Down, up, down, up. Okay, so we have to be kind of aware of that feeling change between the first 2 beats of measure 13, the 1, take ta 2, ta 3, and then the triplets, 3 lolly, 4 lolly. Okay, so I can't really put the 8th note on with my metronome anymore, but I have it set at 60, and listen to me count the rhythm only here. 1, 2, ready, here I go. 1, take ta 2, ta 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1 take, 2 t take ta 3. Okay, you have to say it really precise and really rhythmic. Okay, listen again and see if your toe can line up with me. Down, up, ready, here I go. 1, take ta 2, ta 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1 take, 2 t take ta 3. You kind of feel that different shift there? Try it with me. Count with me and ready, here we go. 1, take ta 2, ta 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1 take, 2 t take ta 3. Okay, or the Miss Chapel or Miss Diaz version. Miss Chapel drinks a strawberry blueberry smoothie every single day. Alright, so kind of 2 ways that you can think about it. You need to know the official version, but maybe that little phrase can help you kind of remember how that rhythm goes. But you do have to say it rhythmically. Okay, alright, so now comes the fun part. Let's try playing it. Okay? Alright, here we go on F. Rhythm only. Down, up, ready, here we go. So sometimes the tendency with those triplets is actually to go too fast. Triplets are actually slightly slower than the 16th notes. Okay, so let's try it one more time and make sure you're spacing out the triplets evenly as well. Down, down, up, and not making any of them sound different. One more time, rhythm only. okay? So I would start before, every time you play this, just remind yourself and count through that or say the phrase through it so that you remember exactly how that rhythm goes, okay? But now the fun part, we have to start putting fingers with that rhythm, okay? So look down at the technique breakdown, okay? So under the rhythm only line, you see the technique breakdown, and that's actually just for measure 13. Okay, so we're going to start by looking at, how about the first just 4 notes? The A, G, F. Now notice there are 2 A's in a row. Okay, don't skip one, you're going to tongue that twice. A, G, F. Okay, can you finger that with me? Again, we're just doing 4 notes right now. We'll add the other 2 once we can do these. Alright, ready? So first 4 notes, fingering of measure 13. Down, up, fingers, here we go. A, G, F. Again, and go. A, G, F. Because remember, it's 1, take ta, 2. Again, fingers, go. A, G, F. So you're going to have to remember, your fingers say the same for the first 2 notes, but you have to remember to tongue them both. One more time, 4 notes, ready, here we go. A, G, F. Alright, let's try. Down, up, 4 notes, here we go. Again, and go. Make sure it's a high A, ready, and go. Alright, so we're going to add the other 2 notes. Now remember, it's an E natural again. So if you need to, or actually I would, and I already have, marked that E there with a natural sign. Okay, so we're going to add the E natural and F. So A, G, F, E, F. Pretty easy there. We're just using that 5th finger to add those 2 notes. Alright, let's finger it. Ready, and set, here we go. A, G, F, E, F. Again, and go. A, G, F, E, F. Alright, let's try it. 1, 2, ready, here we go. Again, and go. Remember, hang on to that F slightly. It's longer than that very first note, that first 8th note. Again, and go. Alright, so that's the first half there of measure 13. Now we have to look at the triplets there. Okay, so let's start with the first 4. F, G, A, F, G, A, F, G, A. Alright, so finger that with me. First 4, ready, set, and go, lolly. F, G, A. Feels a little slower, maybe, than the first half of the measure, right? Again, finger and go. F, G, A. One more time. F, G, A. Alright, play those 4 notes, and set, and go, lolly. Again, and go. One more time, go. Now can we add the last 3 notes? It's G, F, and G. Listen. Finger with me, here we go. F, G, A, G, F, G. Ready, again, lolly, go, lolly. F, G, A, G, F, G. Alright, try it with me, ready? The triplets go. Okay, so we have those 2 pieces of puzzle that we have to fit together now. So let's try putting measure 13 together. Remember, it's going to go 1, take to 2, to 3, lolly, 4, lolly, and then the G is the first note of measure 14. Okay? Alright, let's see if we can put it together. Back on that high A. Remember, E natural there. Down, up, ready, here we go. Okay, again, and go. One more time, ready, and go. Alright, so there's measure 13. Again, you kind of have to make sure that you get that feeling going in there between the 16th note patterns and the triplet patterns. Okay, it's kind of weird at first. You got to practice that. Alright, so now let's talk about measure 14. If you look down to that bottom line where it says technique expanded, that's working with measure 14. So what we've done down here is instead of, in the original, it's eighth notes and 16th notes, we've slowed it down and made it into quarter notes and eighth notes. Okay, so let's look at that slow-mo version first, the quarter note, eighth note version. Okay, so now it's going to go 1, 2, 3, te, 4, te, 1. 1, 2, 3, te, 4, te, 1. Okay, so the notes, G, D, C, D, C, B flat, A. Okay, so that skips up to a high D. Remember round thumb 2, 3, and pinky, high D there. Okay, so see if you can finger that slow-mo version with me. And again, I'm still using round thumb the whole time because we've had B flats all throughout this. Alright, let's see if we can finger the slow-mo technique expanded. Down, up, ready, here we go. G, D, C, D, C, B flat, A. Again, and go. G, D, C, D, C, B flat, A. Okay, so why don't we do this? Let's do the first 3 notes. G, D, C. Ready? And we'll build it. 3 notes, ready, set, and go. So make sure you use that high D fingering again. 3 notes, go. Alright, let's add the next note, slurring back to high D. So C to D, you have to keep those fingers close and make sure you can get back and forth between those fingerings. Adding the 4th note, slow-mo, go. Again, and go. Alright, add the next note, tonguing the C again. Ready, set, here we go. Again, and go. Add the B flat. Ready, set, here we go. Add the A, last one, here we go. Alright, so there's the slow-mo version. Stay at that tempo of the slow-mo until you're ready, but now we can do the speed-up version to get us to, if you look at that technique expanded, the 8th note and 16th note version. Okay, so I'm going to speed it up here. We're jumping up, but we're still doing the slow-mo, the quarter notes and 8th notes, but we're trying to get our fingers up there. Alright, so here we go. Slow-mo version, but a little faster, so it's 1, 2, 3, te, 4, te, 1. Let's try. A little faster, slow-mo, here we go. One more time and go. Alright, a little faster. 1, 2, ready. Two, again. Alright, a little faster. Almost there. 1, 2, ready. Again, set. Little faster. Almost there. 1, 2. Again, ready. Here we go. This is the original tempo. Ready? 1, 2, last one. Again, set. So we got it all the way up to now our performance speed. Quarter note, 8th note version is 120. Whew. But that's the same feeling for your fingers as the 8th note and the 16th note version if I put it back down on 60. Okay, so you might have to, again, just practice that technique. Start slow, okay, If you hit kind of a breaking point on a tempo that you just can't get past, stop and practice at a little slower so that you can practice it correctly. And then maybe tomorrow you can try to bump it up a few beats again. Okay, you don't have to go with me. You can work on your own with your metronome. All right, but work out that's just working out the fingers, that muscle memory and technique. All right, so now comes the real fun part. We have to put measures 13 and 14 together. So, finger with me. Ready? And 1 and 2 and fingers, here we go. A, G, F, E, F, G, A, G, F, G, D, C, D, C, B, flat, A. Or, if we want to think remember with the rhythm, Miss Chapel drinks a strawberry, blueberry smoothie every single day. Finger one more time and ready, here we go. A, G, F, E, F, G, A, G, F, G, D, C, D, C, B, flat, A. I think it's harder to say than play, alright? But do that if you can say it and use your fingers right at the exact precise time with the metronome. Man, you'll be able to play this really well. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to put those two measures together. Down, up, ready, and... Again, and alright guys, 2 tricky measures. Slow it down, break it down, and practice. Okay? Bye.